Those were back before Goresh started making videos, man.
Yeah.
Good times. That actually, like, around the time that you started really putting out content was about the time I actually kind of stopped producing Dokkan videos, actually. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was when we did the Buchigiri like translation thing. That's still pinned on my Twitter.
Is it? Wow. Those are good times, man. Bring Buchigiri back. All right. So Goresh is going to join me, so stay tuned. This video is going up on Saturday. I'll say on Tuesday, Goresh and I will have a video that uploads on this channel. Stay tuned for that. It's a Dokkan video in which we're going to take on a Super Battle Road live. So we'll see how that goes. See if I get destroyed or not. Hopefully I'm good. So stay tuned for that on Tuesday, like I said. Also, check out Goresh's YouTube channel. Link is down below in the description, although I'm sure you guys know who Goresh is. But if you don't, check him out. Awesome YouTuber for Legends and Dokkan. Anyway, so Goresh, man, I want to ask you this to begin. How are you with Dokkan? Are you like still like super hardcore, more casual? Like, are you wailing on everything? How's it going for you now?
Well, I still do wail a lot, pretty much on everything.
Okay.
But in terms of like knowledge, I would say that I don't follow everything as hardcore as I used to.
Okay.
But I would like to think that I still understand everything pretty well.
Well,
so.
I think you're in a unique position because you're like the main translator still for these characters, aren't you?
Yeah, usually the way it works is like when they do like easy A's of characters that like aren't super mega hype, like usually I pass on translating those. But for the major releases like Dokkan Fest and LRs, I still do those. So,
okay. So you even though there's still a gap between JP and Global, which I know you play primarily Global, you still are up to date with the characters for the most part.
Yeah. This year has definitely been interesting in terms of releases. There's been a lot of controversy surrounding a lot of the
Dokkan Fest?
designs. Well, it's both. It's Dokkan Fest and LR releases. Like there's a lot of questionable decisions, I guess we could say.
Yeah, Truth was telling me in another video that this year, I don't know if that was actually on camera or not, but he was telling me that this year has been really questionable for a lot of people. Before we hop into this year, I recently did a summon and I pulled these guys and I want to get your opinion on them. So like, here's a fun thing. They had the 100 stone summon up that I think finished with a guaranteed character that could go to UR or LR or whatever. Yeah. And I did that because it's just I had been gone for like 2.5 years, so it's like, okay, well I could pick up some new characters, right? And looking at the banner, there was basically like Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta. The year 5 one was the only character I had rainbowed, so I was like, okay, sure, I'll do it. Anyway, I got these guys and I went through their kit live in the video and their passive and all that stuff, and I was like, okay, I could see why this character with like to today, because they said that they came out like a year and a half ago or something like that, 2 years ago maybe.
Yeah, almost 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I believe it was the end of 2021.
Yeah, that's what it was. I think it said November 2021. Anyways, I could see how this character would still be pretty solid and work, function the way that they would need to. Probably not be the best anymore, but for the time they came out, I was like, I'm pretty sure for the time they came out, they were freaking insane. Because I was reading them and I was like, dude, these guys, I was like, I've been gone for 2 years. Do these guys literally have a built-in Ghost Usher? I was like, what is that? Like, so what's your opinion on these guys? Because I got them twice and I was like, I might as well start working on them, I guess.
I mean, they're still pretty good. Like you said, the Ghost Usher active skill. Honestly, the number one area where you can probably make use of this character more than honestly almost any other character are in easy A's.
Interesting.
You can jump, because think about it, you can jump into any easy A and bring this character and you have a free Ghost Usher in an event where you can't bring items.
That's true. Okay.
Yeah, like you can float them off, and when they come on rotation, you can just Ghost Usher and then float them off again. They basically can't be hurt. Right?
That's pretty epic, actually.
Yeah. But in normal events too, like they could still be pretty good. At this point, their defense is not the craziest when you're going up into like the tough, like really super mega hard content, but they can still do some good work. They have good I believe they seal, so utility wise they're pretty good. The other thing to mention about this character is they have a guaranteed super attack nullification against Ki Blast Super.
Oh yeah, I saw that too, and I was like, oh, that sounds broken as hell too.
Yeah. So the one fight where like these guys were mega dominant was Red Zone Broly. Because the final phase of Red Zone Broly is AGL, and he supers twice, and he does a Ki Blast Super.
Okay.
Yeah, so these guys just like assassinated that Broly.
That's good to know then, because that means that when I start doing Red Zone content, I will start with Broly and I'll take them in there.
Yeah.
Because I also, so like one thing I want to do is the Dokkan videos are going to be like, I mean, I'm going to do a little bit more in this little stretch because it's a celebration, but you know, outside of celebration period, my goal is to do 1 to 2 a week, primarily on the weekend, like this video will be, and stuff like that. I don't know what the content will typically be, but one thing I do want to do is after I've built up some more, get ready to take on some more content, I do want to document running those stages, so like we're going to run an SBR. I want to document running the harder content that's popped up, because there's a lot of just even like not actually considered harder content. There's still a lot of content I haven't played. For example, like I said, SBR, I think that there's like what 90 stages or something now. What is it?
There's a lot. Well,
I was like,
there's regular SBR and then there's extreme SBR.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, there was only like 30 stages back when I was playing, and there's so many more now. There's other stages that's like, again, not crazy content, like the other legendary Goku event style events now. Those didn't exist. So like I want to do some of those. And ultimately I want to just, again, take on Red Zone 2 and see how it is and just get destroyed. Like I'm like super like nervous about it, but I think it could be fun videos just getting destroyed in it. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's also there's the Cell Max event too, which is really tough still, even though it's pretty, like, honestly, it's a year old now, but it's still really tough.
I saw people complaining about that one when it popped up.
Yeah, because when it popped up, because the way it worked was, I believe there were missions for the first 2 phases. And what happened was people cleared the first 2 phases and completed the missions. And then people were fighting that 3rd phase, because that's really when the fight starts, is the 3rd phase. Like, it was so tough. Like, I don't even think they had missions for the 3rd phase when it first came out. I think people assumed that you just weren't supposed to beat that 3rd phase. That's how hard it was.
Wow. Was it that using the other superhero characters made it easier, or what?
So that didn't get implemented until later, because that Cell Max event came out before they dropped like the major superhero characters.
Oh no, I remember that now. Yeah.
That was before the Gammas dropped. That was before Ultimate Gohan and
they just had that free Gohan in the game, huh?
Yeah. But that Cell Max event dropped. That's still a hard event. And then there's the Shadow Dragon event as well. So there's 2, like, I guess, notorious stages in that Shadow Dragon event, which is the Sin stage and then the Omega stage, so the last 2 ones. On JP, actually, yeah, because on Global we don't have the Omega stage yet. But on JP, you guys have the Omega stage, which a lot of people consider that to be the hardest stage in the game right now. But I think during this worldwide celebration, we have the new Red Zone that just dropped, the Dismal Future Red Zone. We'll probably get a stage in there that eclipses that Omega stage in terms of difficulty. So.
Oh, really? That sounds pretty interesting.
I mean, there's a lot of difficult events to choose from. So, I mean, I don't know if you remember back in the day, like one of the biggest complaints people had was that there just wasn't enough difficult content in the game.
Yep. I was telling Truth that in the video, we were talking about this something similar, and I was like, yeah, I remember one of the complaints was that there was nothing hard in the game.
Yeah. I mean, pretty much since the 6th anniversary, because in the 6th anniversary they did the God event, and then next year was Red Zone, and then we got the Shadow Dragon stuff, and then they kept releasing new Red Zone events. So there's a lot of difficult content that exists now. So I think they definitely recognize that complaint that people had. So that's good.
Yeah, definitely, that's good. So is it just this? There's 72 stages. Is it just the same artificial difficulty, or have they found other ways to make it harder versus just pumping up stats?
A lot of it is pretty much just based around the stats, like how hard the bosses hit for, how much health they have.
Okay.
But there's some other gimmicks too, like sometimes bosses like nullify certain types of super attacks, like mostly key-based super attacks. Mm-hmm. You have certain bosses that will super multiple times per turn. You have bosses that do AoE super attacks, so you have to and not just AoE super attacks, but like AoE normals. It's like the Omega Shenron fight. One of the biggest reasons why that fight is so tough is because he does AoE normal attacks. So a lot of characters now end up getting them. So if you go in there, it's the one all the way. I don't know if you can get to the. Yeah, so that's the stage right there. That's Omega. So a lot of times characters these days get a lot, if not just the majority of their defense from supering. Yep. So if they're getting hit before they get to attack, they're just taking insane amounts of damage. That's why these 2 events are so tough. This one and then the Sin one, which is 1 down.
Interesting. Okay. Well, that's cool then, because I mean that's always been a thing. It's like at a point you can't really get too upset about that, like them trying to just beef up the stats more. But the gimmicks have always been something that they found a way to make events harder. Because I mean, as a vet, just like myself, I'm sure you remember when they implemented things like the inability to stun, or the inability to seal, or the inability to do XYZ, or the first time bosses would do 2 super attacks in a turn, or things like they've always introduced a new gimmick. So it's cool to see that they're still finding other ways, it sounds like, to do that with some of those nullifications and some of the other things too.
Yeah, I think they've definitely made a concerted effort to try and make certain characters good in some stages, and then, you know, maybe not so good in other stages. So they're designating certain fights to be like good for certain characters, so that you at least can use them in certain stages.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. That's not something I enjoy a ton, but it is a general gotcha thing where it's like some characters are good.
They don't want you. They don't want you taking one team and then just like steamrolling
everything. Yeah. One team, yeah. So that makes sense. That makes sense. So this is what I've been working on. This is my little pet project. And this is a preview for what I was looking forward to for the next upcoming video, which is the SBR. So that one is for movie heroes, as you can see. And I saw that there's a lot of newer movie heroes. So who's the best characters for that stage?
For movie heroes, I mean, the one that comes to mind right away is Orange Piccolo.
Yeah. I
don't know if you have him, but he's tech.
No, I don't have him, but I did hear that him and the Gammas are super good.
Yeah, the Gammas are really good. So the Gammas actually came out on the same banner, which is something that we don't ever see. I don't remember if you remember this, or I don't know if you remember this or not, but remember when Merge Zamasu and Trunks came out on the same banner, on the Dokkan Fest banner?
Which ones?
The Int Trunks and then the Tech Merge Zamasu.
Oh,
like it was one Dokkan Fest banner, but they were both new characters.
Yeah, that was like 2016.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. They actually did the same thing with the Gammas, which is like, that's only other time that's ever happened in Dokkan, is releasing 2 new Dokkan Fest exclusives on the same banner.
Wow.
So
that's kind of cool, though.
People were so excited for that, because like I guess they probably didn't expect the Gammas to sell that well, which is why they did it that way. But they ended up being insanely good, and honestly, they're cool. Like they both have intros and stuff like that. So
interesting. Okay, well, I guess I'll probably be pulling for them when they come in. So that's another thing too, is like I have like I'm gonna mainly be like, I'm not gonna be free to play, but like pretty damn close. For example, they have like those $7 30 stone discounts. I'll buy a couple of those, you know. And I've still got like so much stones to get. Like I got up to 500 stones, like just from free to play grinding, basically, in like a couple of days. So it was pretty cool, actually, because there's so many easy A's and stuff that I just have to do that I hadn't done. But the downside of that is that one thing that's happening is I kind of want to just collect characters again. So I want to get the Gammas. I want to get those characters when they run them back. So we'll see what happens with that.
There's also a physical God Goku Dokkan Fest that released for Saiyan Day this year. I think they'll probably bring him back on the one of the worldwide banners, because he hasn't been back yet, and he came out in March. So I think it's time for him to come back. I think last year's character was Majin Vegeta for Saiyan Day, and I believe he came back on worldwide. I don't remember 100%, but there's at least a chance that God Goku could come back on one of the worldwide banners. So he's a really good, really strong Dokkan. Like honestly, out of all the Dokkan Fest TUR characters, a lot of people consider him to be like number 1 or number 2 overall. So he's really good. There's also the Tech Super Saiyan Carnival Goku from the Cooler movie, the first Cooler movie, that released last year for the worldwide celebration.
I don't think I have them.
I don't know if you know what a carnival banner is, but there's a new style of banner called a Legendary Summon Carnival. It's basically like what a gold coin LR Legendary Summon banner is, except it's just straight up better. You have like 1 million featured LRs, and those characters that are carnival characters are exclusive to those types of banners. So you actually can't pull them on any other type of banner.
Those banners have popped up right before I stopped playing.
Okay. Well, I mean, the first carnival that released was last year's worldwide, so that was the Cooler celebration.
Oh, okay. I thought that they did some sort of change like that when I was playing last.
So they introduced a new type of coin which everybody hates, because like, how do you just imagine if that's basically like if Legends introduced like when they introduced Z2 medals.
Oh,
it's basically like if they introduced Z2 medals and then put in like ridiculous stuff in that.
I was gonna say if Z2 medals actually had like real value.
Yeah, if it was actually good. Yeah. So yeah, I mean that exists. We are definitely going to be getting some type of carnival during this celebration, the worldwide celebration. We just had, well, at least Global did. Global just had dual carnival banners for the anniversary, and I think JP actually just had a carnival with Omega Shenron. LR Omega Shenron was a carnival character. So.
Ah, okay, that's cool. Well, hopefully I get some good stuff on some of these banners. I'm really looking forward to pulling and maybe getting some of these characters that I don't have. At least getting them once. Like I'm not really too crazy about. Trying to get dupes into them or whatever, and stuff like that. You know something funny? I did that summon, right, and I got Goku and Frieza, and I started laughing my ass off, dude. I was like, dude, hold on, I gotta just show you this. I was like, dude, I've been gone for like 2.5 years. And this is what you give me? Look at hold on. Where they at? Goku and Frieza. I get Goku and Frieza. Look at this. I was like, I'm sure I've got a bunch of copies. And I started laughing my ass off, dude. Got freaking 11 copies of these guys. I was like, dude, what kind of setup is that?
Transfer some of those over to Legends.
Oh, man, imagine. Imagine that. I was like, man, what kind of setup is this? Like, where were these at, the other game? Well, how are you going to give me these? I've been gone for 6 years, and you're going to give me these. Like, all the characters I could have got. Yeah, so last I was playing was, some things were popping up, like EZA LRs had just kind of started. They had given us the Goku and Frieza, the Zamasu, which I believe was the first one. I think there was another couple that came out while I was still playing. But basically, like, midway through 2020, end portion of 2020 was the last time I was seriously on. I toyed with coming back for a couple of other releases. So, like, here's an example of some of the more modern characters that I have. Let me know if you see any gems in here or anything like that. So I got.
Oh, you have Carnival Omega. Okay.
Yeah. So, Truth was telling me that I have that new Omega too. So yeah, like I've kind of got some stuff. But the last
Goku too. So scroll up. There's a STR Goku in the middle column.
This guy.
Yeah, he that's a Carnival character as well. So you probably pulled him on Omega's banner. Yeah, I believe that was the first time he came back. He's actually pretty good. He's not like insane, but he's a good floating character because he can support and he does damage and he has decent, like, he's a good all-around character. Yeah, this is the Goku from the Hachiak special is what this is.
Okay. I was like, I know there's a Kai one, right?
Yeah, there's a Kai one that's really good. He's also a Carnival exclusive.
That's kind of cool that they started doing that though.
Yeah, so the one thing people complain about this character though is that they just named him Goku when it's all the
they did together. That's terrible.
Yeah, his name was just Super Saiyan Goku when there's like 5 million other good Super Saiyan Gokus. But the problem with doing if this character was actually named like Goku and Trunks and Vegeta, blah blah blah, like he would have like no categories. Yeah, that's the one downside to Dokkan. Like, because obviously you know how it works in Legends where
they would get all those categories.
Yeah, exactly. You get all the tags for each character in Legends, whereas in Dokkan you have to share each of the categories to be on the category. So I mean that's definitely a good thing that they named him Goku because of that problem, but the downside is that he won't be able to link up with the other Super Saiyan Gokus, right?
Yeah, that's fair. Who was I think it was Piccolo and so like this is right here is when I stopped really trying to go crazy.
Okay, yeah, this was the LR that released after the infamous Dokkan Fest Raditz. Probably the worst character ever released, like literally.
So I put out a tweet the other day, and I was like, "What's one Dokkan opinion that would have you like this?" You know, that meme with the dude and all the swords in his face. Yeah. And somebody replied, they were like, "Oh, it's the physical Raditz, right?" They're like, "Oh, physical Raditz, Dokkan Fest Raditz is actually good." And I was like, "Bro, I've been gone for 2.5 years, and even I know that's false." I think they unfollowed me after that too. I was like, I remember that character. Doesn't he have like an AoE super or something like that too?
Yeah, he has an AoE super, but it's like he has no defense, he doesn't do any damage, and he doesn't support any, like, I guess his leader skill's okay because it's pure Saiyans and some other category.
That's okay.
But there's literally no redeeming quality about him at all. Like day one on release, he was terrible.
I remember the controversy a little bit there. But I was actually kind of excited to see these guys get an LR because, you know, it's not like it's like the most obscure thing, but especially because early in Dokkan's life, they wouldn't touch obscure releases really for anything. So,
well, yeah, I mean, that makes sense, right? I mean, we see the same thing in Legends a lot of the time too. Like they don't want to, because they still had stuff to round out the coverage of the entire series, right? So.
Yeah, for sure. So I was fortunate enough to get the year 7 anniversary LRs, aren't these them at the top?
Oh yeah, the gods and then the Super Saiyan 4s. Yep.
Yeah, so I have some stuff. So hopefully the transition isn't too bad. How are these guys, by the way?
Yeah, I was about to say they're pretty good, Goku and Gohan. So this is technically it's Dokkan original, right? Because this didn't actually happen.
Oh yeah, it's true. Huh? Yeah, I just not realized that.
Yeah, and their active skills cool too because their active skills completely a Dokkan original animation. It's them doing the Father Son Kamehameha, but it's Gohan as Super Saiyan 1, and then he turns 2 in the middle of the animation.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, and then I don't know if you've seen the what was the teaser for the upcoming Vegito Blue.
Yeah,
but they said that Vegito Blue would have Dokkan original animation, so it might be similar to that Goku and Gohan, where it's like the active skill or whatever might just be completely an original, because they pretty much have covered every single animation from Vegito Blue. Vegito Blue doesn't really do much. Right? He's in the show for like 8 minutes or whatever it is. Like that's his screen time. So.
Yeah, it's hilarious how they keep popping him back though, because boy, it's so popular. On that topic, I thought it was kind of interesting. Now, this may not be true, but from what I can recall, this is the first time Vegito Blue has actually ever been marketed alongside Zamasu.
Yeah. I mean, you remember the original drop was Physical VB and AGL
sure.
Rose. Dude, that still, in my opinion, to this day, is the single most hype thing they've ever released in the news tab. Was that image? It was Vegito Blue standing facing off against Rose. You remember that, right?
Yeah. That was super hype too because it popped up right in when the anime was showing it.
Yeah. So the episode with Vegito Blue came out, and then 2 days later they had that in the news.
Dude, Dokkan was so crazy back then, where it's super Zarek and you see something cool and it's boom, right on Dokkan. That's one thing I always have said. I don't really care about the Legends v Dokkan debate, but one thing I'll say is Dokkan just couldn't do that. Or excuse me, Legends just couldn't do that. They couldn't capitalize on it the same way, because that was something that was kind of relevant for Goku and Frieza being anniversary characters. If they had got the chance to do them as an anniversary character in 2018, that would have sold so crazy.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It would have sold so crazy.
The thing with this release too is this was right when the potential system came out.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true. Oh man, he pops in with the double attacks. What is it? Triple attacks? This guy was crazy back then.
He had counters.
Critting. Yeah, but they neutered him by making his cut a little bit weaker, but who cared?
Yeah, this is ridiculous, isn't
it? Yeah. So, yeah, it's pretty cool to see that they're marketing him alongside Zamasu. Have they done it since, or has it always just been Rose? I don't know how many more BBs have popped up.
So they've done that one. There was a Tech Vegito Blue. I don't know. You might have been playing when he came out.
Tech VB
so he
is
came out with
old.
He came out with STR Rose, so he actually also came out with Rose.
Jeez, Goresh, how old do you think I am? This guy came out 2018. Look how far down the list he is.
I don't remember when he released. I remember he came out for New Year's. I remember that.
Yeah, here he is. Look how old he came out around Tech Broly. What?
Oh yeah, no, yeah, he came out of Tech Broly. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. This is sort of by order received. Look how old this guy is. You're wondering if I was playing back then.
Yeah, so that was him. And then the only other Vegito Blue that we have is the LR, the Tech one, the 5th anniversary one, which was with Gogeta. So yeah,
they haven't never
done. Okay. Yeah, they've never done Vegito Blue and Zamasu together before.
That's kind of cool, actually. Like I said, because I always thought it was so funny that it's why is it VB and Rose every time? I know why, because Rose is more popular, but I just thought it was funny. Now there's probably going to be a Rose and Trunks probably for part 2 or something. So
I think part 2 is going to be Rose and Trunks.
Yeah. See, even I've been gone, and I already know the pattern because it just makes sense. All right. So one thing I wanted to ask you to set up for our next video is, how do you think this team would do, and if I should make any changes for the Movie Hero SBR? So I remember, just for context, I remember that it's not all about having the best characters. It's also about having the best utility. Some damage cuts, stuns, things like that could be super effective there. So that may not have been in other content. So I'm sure there's a character or two that's kind of obscure or something like that that I'm not thinking about. I don't know, like Tech Jocko or something that I should try to use. I don't know. So who do you think I should probably plug in, and how do you think this team will perform? This team is fully Easy 8 as well. So.
Yeah, you just mentioned Tech Jocko. I actually think he could be pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. I knew it. Because, like, that's one thing I remember about SBR is, like, those characters like that, Jocko has a chance to stun the whole team. Like,
no, it's guaranteed, but it's once only. But it's still the same.
Yeah,
you get a Ghost Usher in SBR with Jocko.
Yeah, so maybe we plug him in. I'm not sure. But any other recommendations? Let me go back to that movie hero group.
So the thing with SBR, and the main reason why SBR is not considered anywhere close to as tough as Red Zone or like the Omega stage, is because SBR does not limit items. So you can take in, 8 items to SBR stages. So you can pretty much play the way you want to. So if you just wanted to, for whatever reason, challenge yourself and not use a bunch of items, like you can make it harder for yourself, but you could also just spam like 2 items per fight if you wanted to as well.
Oh yeah, I've seen the new wave of Truth, and I think Mass Ningen doing like no item runs and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that's like a way to challenge yourself more. But the thing with SBR, like the reason why people do that is because that's like the quote unquote true way of gauging how good a unit is without using items, which makes sense.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, the thing with SPR is like they don't limit items, so like why even why would you bother not using them? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and also I assume that support memories can be used there, and if so, they've made it a lot easier too.
They've yet to release any stages that limit support memory usage. Support memories can be used in any stage.
Gotcha. That's still one thing I'm kind of sketchy on, because that was still in the game, or that had popped up, but I never really got into it because I had already kind of turned hyper casual. So I don't really know what they do or like what the best ones are, so we'll probably take them in. But I assume that for content that like doesn't restrict you in any way, especially support memories, then they are probably ultra good.
There's actually a really good support memory for movie heroes, which is what you get from clearing the movie boss's red zone event. It's a permanent 10% to attack and defense to all movie hero characters from turn 1 forever.
Forever. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's pretty solid.
That's really strong.
That's pretty solid. So for that movie bosses one, do you use movie heroes for that one?
Well, for the red zone event, you mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you can. The thing with red zone is they don't restrict what characters you can bring into the stages, so you can bring whatever you want.
Okay. Well, that's good then. You kind of make me want to try that first, just to get that item. But I know I don't need win more. So basically the gist I'm getting is that we're gonna walk over that SBR stage with these characters.
You can. I mean, I see Spirit Bombs over Goku. Did you easy A him? Because he hasn't easy A now.
I think I was starting it. I don't think I finished it. No, I haven't done him yet. There's so many of them to do.
So he has one, and then Gohan and Goten have one too.
Yeah, I saw theirs too. I didn't get to theirs yet either.
I think Spirit Bombs over Goku, if you easy A him, he's a really good SBR character because he seals and lowers attack on super attack. So he'd be good for SBR.
Okay. Who would I plug over him? One of those gods?
I would probably get rid of Vegeta.
Okay.
The thing with Goku is that tech god Goku, like you would actually, if you understood how good that character is post easy A, like you actually wouldn't believe it. Like it's ridiculous what they did to that god Goku. This god Goku, I believe it's 77% less damage received from pure Saiyans, and I think it's movie bosses too. If there's an enemy movie bosses or an enemy pure Saiyan character,
that's a hella wide range.
Yeah, he basically just takes 0 damage. Like he cannot be touched, and he's rainbow orb changing.
And he's sealed on the special, right?
Yeah, he's just a ridiculous character. They dropped his easy A during the 7th anniversary because they wanted you to have like some kind of tool against the red zone Broly, because he was just. That Red Zone Broly event, when it dropped, was just... It was honestly probably too hard.
Wow. Okay, well, I guess we got some juice for that one. Well, since I have to easy A those characters, and we need to do the video next...
Wait, sorry. One more thing. So there's actually a really good character that you probably wouldn't have expected to be good. If you scroll down a little bit... I just go up a little bit, back up. That STR Piccolo in the middle slot.
Oh, at the top?
Yeah. He has an easy A. Yeah, he's actually really good because he's an AoE and he guaranteed crits on the first attack. And he's an AoE character. So he does a lot of damage. And especially in Super Battle Red when you have multiple enemies.
Yeah. All you're telling me is that I need to work more.
Well, he's a sub EZA, so he's sub EZA. What is his? I don't remember where his event is, but
it's the cooler.
Oh, Metal Cooler. Yeah, that makes sense because he was a banner unit on AGL Metal Cooler. But yeah, he's actually really strong post EZA. So he's actually a really good world tournament character too, just because the AoE guaranteed crit. So.
Okay. Well, if there's any I don't have to EZA, because we need to do the video next.
I mean, your team right now can definitely work.
Okay.
You probably wouldn't face that many issues right now.
Okay. That's what I want to know. Yeah. Not that I'm opposed to doing the EZAs, but we're kind of on a time limit, so.
Yeah. Your team is good enough.
Okay. And I was also wondering, like, if there was any reason to bring any other characters I already had EZA, like this guy, for example, or anything.
I mean, that Tapion's okay, but he doesn't really work well with your team right now, so I'd probably just leave it as it is. AGL Gogeta is really good because he has a lot of dodge, I guess. Yeah, I think it's 50% post pre transformation, so he's pretty good.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's a nice segue for the second video.
One other character I guess you can consider, but I don't know if you want to do it. Is that AGL Gotenks, who I don't think you Dokkan yet. Yeah, that guy right here. He has an AoE, but his AoEs have a chance to stun, and he does multiple supers per turn. He
sounds like he'd be one of the best characters for this.
Yeah, you might want to replace Vegeta with this guy but again, this would require you farm up the medals to Dokkan him. So
yeah. I don't think I've done it yet. I had started working. This doesn't take too long, but I still would rather just knock it out, while I have you here. But he sounds like he's easily one of the best characters, especially because my team's also like got a lot of fusions too.
Yeah, this is like a textbook SBR character. Like when they were creating his kit, they were like, okay, how do we make him good for SBR? That's like that's what they were thinking when they made it.
Gotcha. That's kind of cool though that they loosened up on that other content because they produced other harder content and we're like, okay, well, we can make these characters that would just excel there a lot more consistently.
Yeah, so for Golden Week this year, they released Piccolo Jr. from the 23rd World Tournament at the end of Dragon Ball.
Oh, that's really cool.
He by himself, if you can bring him into an SBR stage, you can't lose. He is the biggest cheat code I've ever seen in this game for any event.
Wow, what is he doing that's so crazy?
So he can use his active skill turn 1 in SBR, and it's an AoE that it action breaks every enemy it hits. So you put him in. So you use his active skill turn 1 against every single stage. He action breaks the enemies so they can't do anything. If you put him in slot 1 after that, he debuffs the entire enemy's attack, and then he just kills everything in one hit. So
wow.
I actually don't know how you wouldn't win with him on your team.
That sounds pretty crazy because he's just gonna keep doing it turn 1 in every fight, right?
Yeah, so when I showcased Piccolo Jr., because I usually don't do Super Battle Road anymore in my showcases, I specifically did that with him just because it was just like he was made for this, like this is so ridiculous. So I took him in, and it was just like it was honestly a joke at how easy it was.
That's pretty funny. Oh man, so I have one last question about, and that'll conclude our video about harder content, and that's going to be Red Zone. So, like I mentioned earlier, we are setting up for, I am setting up for a Red Zone video sometime in the near future because I know people want to see me try to take some of these stages on. So I'd imagine that the easiest one nowadays is Broly, right?
Well, so you have to go in order. So if you click, you don't have to go in order, I guess. But if you click on like the GT Red Zone, for example, because the first 2 Red Zone events that dropped were the GT one and then the movie bosses one. So you can go in order here if you wanted to, and it for the most part goes in order of difficulty. So like the first stage is like really easy versus Legic, and then you go up in difficulty as you go up. So the next one's against Rildo, and then you're going up against what is that? Lude, the
baby back
thing.
there.
Yeah, and then there's Baby, and then there's Super 17, and then eventually you make your way up. Then there's the Shadow Dragons, and then there's Omega there. So it goes up in order of difficulty. I would say this GT one is probably the easiest set of stages. This and the movie bosses one are the 2 easier ones, but I would say those two against each other, I'd say GT overall is easier than the movie bosses one.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So Red Zone, a question about it is what do you expect in there? We talked about difficulty. What are they doing in there that's particularly difficult? Just beefy stats and some gimmicks?
They just hit so hard. It's mostly just they just hit really, really hard. Gotcha. Once you get to like some of the later stages, they have some interesting gimmicks. Like, so this last stage against Omega Shenron, he hits very hard stage 1 and stage 2, and then when you get to the final phase in stage 3, he actually doesn't super at all. He does a countdown, and so you basically have to kill him before he does his super attack. Back when this stage first came out, there were like almost no units in the game that could survive if you didn't kill him before the countdown expired. Now there's a lot of characters that are fine against it.
Interesting.
But yeah, I mean, I would say that like that's an interesting gimmick because you don't really see countdowns anymore. It reminds me of like
that Tech Goku is what came to mind for me. Wasn't it Tech Super Saiyan 3 or something?
No, the AGL one. Yeah,
AGL, yeah. Where he would just one-shot you if he took too long.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, and there was no characters that were living it when that came out. You were losing.
Well, there was also Full Power Frieza did that too. I remember that because Full Power Frieza came out on Global before Super Gogeta for the first anniversary.
Oh yeah,
and it was reversed on JP. So JP had Super Gogeta to take down the physical Full Power Frieza Dokkan event. Global didn't, and it was basically impossible to out damage the countdown for that Frieza. I remember using so many stones on that Dokkan event because you couldn't out damage the countdown. But that's the same mechanic that this Omega
At that time, I was actually global only, and I remember that too. Yeah. But the reason I stopped being global only at that time was because, for one, at the time everybody was talking about how JP is just so much better, blah 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 blah, and also because I got heavily screwed on that anniversary because they decided to screw with the rates. So I gave up. Because didn't they lower Gogeta's pull rate specifically on that banner?
On Global, yeah. That's like that was like the biggest shaft ever for Global. Like, people talk about like the 300 stone thing. Yeah, that is not close to what they did on the.
They pulled some real BS on that Gogeta banner for real. Yeah, and that's when I gave up. I was like, nah, screw this, man. Because I went so hard. Because I remember, dude. I just want to say this. So Dokkan Global was my first experience with a gacha game, and nowadays there's a billion of them. But one thing that kind of happened to me then, like around the releases of of Physical Ultimate Gohan back then. Physical Goku Black, Physical Broly. Apparently I had bad luck with physical characters. Super Saiyan 3 STR when he released on like Christmas. I was running into this issue because first experience with gachas and didn't know how it would treat me. I was running into this issue where I would just spend all my money. I'd get my check and then it would be a good check. And I look at my bank. It's supposed to last me a couple weeks. I look at my bank and I'm like, bro, what the fuck? I'm broke already. So I would wail like crazy, dude. And then when Global did that shaft thing on Gogeta, I was like, nah, bro, I'm done. Because the rates were better on JP anyway. So were. I was like, nah, I'm done.
And that was before they published the rates.
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't just go into the banner and be like, oh, well, it's 10%, right? I mean, they didn't have that because I believe that was a result of some law that was passed. I don't know the specifics on that, but they didn't publish the rates back then. So people
we had the websites for it.
Yeah, people just had bots constantly re-rolling, and like over the course of like thousands of re-rolls, you would eventually get a pretty solid understanding as to what the rates were.
Yeah,
because there would just be so many re-rolls that, law of large numbers, you could tell what the rates are. But it's insane that they had to actually resort to that to figure out what the rates were.
Yeah, and the rates were like sub 1% in those early portions. Like, they were terrible.
Yeah, I mean, there was just no SSRs in the game.
Like, yeah, that too. There was no SSRs. Because I started on the Super Saiyan Festival banner. The first one, I think that was my very first like banner I saw, and it had like that Super Saiyan 2 Goku on it and stuff like. And I was like, going in, and I'm going crazy, and I'm like, bro, I'm not getting anything. It's like nothing. So, oh man, we had the older animations back then, which actually were a little slower, but probably not anymore because nowadays there's a lot more animations I play to, I guess. Anyway, trip down memory lane there.
Yep. So the Red Zone, in terms of Red Zone, I would probably recommend just starting with the GT and the movie boss Red Zones, but you don't need to immediately jump into like the last fights. Like, you can go in order, and it gradually increases in difficulty. With a team like this, you shouldn't really have that many problems. I wouldn't say.
What, this one or the
red
other
zones? Both I think are pretty decent. Like this team right here is you're probably good with this. Like this looks pretty damn good. Remember when those first 2 red zone events dropped? Like those the 7th anniversary LRs were the best units in the game, like by far. It wasn't even close.
Oh, so, okay. And then these 5th ones have now got easy A's too.
Yeah, those guys when they transform are something else. They're ridiculous.
What's the thought on the STR Vegito?
He's still good. I mean, his value comes from the Scouter when you transform with him now.
Oh,
so you know
yeah,
what
yeah.
supers are going to be. I believe it's for like 10 turns or something like that. The problem with this guy now is when you transform, the current content just hits so hard that he doesn't hold up that well defensively, but he still does a lot of damage because of the counters.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I was going to ask you to maybe make some suggestions on characters to bring into one of those red zones. Is there any recent characters? Maybe the androids?
I would probably say to bring the AGL Gogeta, the Dragon Ball Super transforming one, and that goes blue, because his EZA is really good. You could probably replace one of your. Let me see what you got. I would probably say replace the free-to-play Vegito Blue, maybe, with the AGL transforming Gogeta.
Okay.
Yeah, he's good. Because when he transforms into blue, he has a 70% chance to dodge, which is really strong.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, one other thing to mention too is some other gimmick they have, and this is one of the reasons why that Broly fight is so tough, is that Broly fight actually doesn't allow you to dodge. It completely nullifies dodge. So any characters that have a high chance to dodge, I wouldn't say become worthless in there, but they're super neutered in there.
Well, I assume they're not anywhere near as good because part of their gimmick is made with having heavy dodges in mind. So
yeah, so like this Gogeta, again, he has a 70% chance to dodge when he transforms. I probably would recommend you don't bring him into the Broly fight, which is weird because it's Gogeta. You would think you'd be good against Broly, but yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. What are your opinions on this guy?
He's good, yeah. I mean,
he got an EZA, right? Yeah, he did.
Yeah, semi-recently, back in December when the superhero stuff came out with Gohan and Piccolo. He's good. He is good. He's just... Honestly, I'm a bit disappointed that they didn't change his conditions to transform.
I asked Truth about that, and I was like, that was the main gripe with this guy, so they apparently just still didn't fix the main problem. I've seen a couple EZAs that like... where it's like they don't fix the main problem still on their EZAs. I think it was the year 3 LRs. I was looking at them and I'm like, bro, they still have the same main problems here.
The transforming conditions.
Yeah, that and it looked like there was still some key issues a little bit too. So
the thing with EZAs is that apparently the way the coding of the game works, you actually can't update the active skill conditions via an EZA based off of the coding or whatever, because people have looked into it.
Oh,
so
okay.
Unless they update the game and they do like a database update, they actually can't do that. So, but I was expecting once this guy got his EZA that they would actually update the database so that they could go back and change the conditions, because we all know how much people hated when this guy released and the conditions were so hard to get.
Yeah,
I mean, they're easier to get now because you have more viable Android units you could run next to this Gohan. But it's still, honestly, I would just, when I'm using this character, I don't want to use Super Saiyan Gohan. I want to use Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, right?
Yeah.
So I wish they would have just changed those conditions.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's fair. All right. Well, before I ask you too many other questions, I want to go ahead and conclude this one. I want to thank you, man, for coming on. Obviously, been a big help with understanding some of the content in the game, how things have changed, some new characters, etc., some of the things we covered. And I am really looking forward to trying to take on some of those red zones and and seeing how that goes. Because I know that there's a lot of them, and I know obviously some of them are going to be harder than others. And we're getting another one right now, apparently, for like the Dismal Future or whatever, Future Saga.
Yeah, we have 3 of the stages already.
Yeah, so I know that there's going to be some crazy stuff, but I want to hop in and see if I can maybe take some of those on. But we gotta crawl before we can walk, so we are gonna hit up some SBR just to get my feet wet with some semi-hard content, I guess, because all I've played so far is EZAs and Dokkan events, so we'll see what happens. So guys, remember, check out the other video on Tuesday. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. This was a longer one, so it does mean a lot to me. Also, thumbs up, subscribe, check out Goresh's channel. It is down below in the description. Any final words you want to say, man?
Summon on Vegito Blue tomorrow and put him on the team.
I actually am hoping to pull him, but you know, I'm sketchy. Like I don't know like how it's gonna go. I don't know. I'm nervous. So we'll see. But all right, guys, thanks. We'll see you next time.